The problem with bureaucratic education is that Moses beat Pharaoh's magicians. I will now explain. So, whenever you have something that is worth learning, there are people who want to learn how to do it, generally speaking. There are times when, like the guy who invented the typewriter, people just don't catch on to a good idea until way later. This does happen, but in general, if you have something that you're really good at, people want to learn how to do it. Especially if that thing is an obvious force multiplier, like really anything, like medicine, law, because understanding how to manipulate legal systems is very important. The Godfather said a lawyer with a briefcase can steal more money than a man with a gun. That might be my quote of the day. I might make that my quote of the day, that a lawyer with a briefcase can steal more money than a man with a gun. I like that a lot. I think I'll snip that out of this video and make that the quote of the day, because then that can be an advertisement for this video, and I don't know, it's just an interesting thing that I could try out doing. But anyway, making videos, that's a thing people try to teach now. Jordan Peterson was supposed to be audited by a social media expert because those supposedly exist and he isn't preeminent among them for whatever reason. Though if there was such a thing as a social media expert. But social media, video making, communication, communications is a degree. Whether or not they can actually teach communications is another story, but here's a good example. It's like, okay, people need to be able to communicate, so therefore there will be people who emerge to teach people how to communicate, to make a bureaucratic formal system of communication. How effective is it? I don't know. Martial arts, I like that. Like, I'm walking barefoot right now. Just walking barefoot. And I'll probably make getting bit by no CMs. I gotta walk while the bugs are not yet out in. I'm gonna go this way because they're in less force this way. But anyway, so like martial arts is a great example. You have a lot of martial arts schools. There's a lot of karate schools. I did karate growing up, and it wasn't very good from what I experienced. Like, as far as fighting goes, like, they weren't going to teach you how to fight, how to win a fight, win a physical altercation with any sort of great degree of competency, which is, as a martial art, that makes it ineffective. You should be able to kill people with your martial art, or it's not a martial art, it's just art. The martialness is the war part. War is putting your enemy beyond the ability to harm you, or you're not very good at war. So it wasn't very effective karate, and then I wrestled. That was very effective. Wrestling it's a bureaucratic system, but it's not really bureaucratic per se. It's more of, it kind of occupies a certain region of culture. But I would say that the spirit behind wrestling is more encompassed in all the wrestlers. Like, it wasn't like I learned wrestling from a curriculum. I learned wrestling from a bunch of old salt wrestlers who would just show up randomly, like people from the ages of like 90 to 19, fresh out of high school, to younger than high schoolers, like just all showing up just to wrestle. And that is where wrestling exists. It's not some curriculum where you get a grade. It's just sort of this thing everyone does and you get good at it. That is, I think, the best instance. I think that's why God wrestled Jacob, because I think that's the best instance of a system, like a bureaucratic system of education that actually kind of works and isn't just a total failure. I think, but the real problem is, and the reason Moses beat Pharaoh's magicians, is because a system of bureaucracy does not evaluate competence well. It evaluates adherence to the system of bureaucracy. And in general, bureaucracy is generally a substitute for competence. You don't build a giant bureaucracy because you're incredibly competent, or you have a bunch of competent people, you build a bureaucracy to sort of manage incompetence. Like, the reason we have a bureaucratic Department of Education is because we presume parents to be incapable of educating their own children. If we thought parents were capable educators, the education system would involve parents a lot more than it does. So, therefore, there's a sort of managerial incompetence baked into that kind of bureaucracy. Same with government. In Deuteronomy, which is the most popular book of the Bible at the time of the American Revolution, so it's fair for me to compare American government to the book of Deuteronomy. In Deuteronomy, there's a sentiment of, why do you need a system of formal government from God? Simply be competent and decide among yourselves what is right. So, in general, a bureaucracy is built, again, like Egypt was a slave culture. A slave culture with a intense hereditary hierarchy. So there was really no assumption of basic competence outside of your ability to serve Pharaoh. You were not valued for your creative abilities outside of how the blood of the house, which is literally what Pharaoh means, the blood of the house decided. So compare that to an American pioneer society where competency is the basic requirement to entry and all are considered equal and are given merit based on demonstratable ability, on the ability to debate and defend ideas in the moment, on just actual ability in the moment. Like, that was sort of the thing. That's like, again, I'll come back to martial arts. I like that. Like, that is where you get good martial arts versus bullshido, they call it. Bullshido, like bullshit. Bullshido. You get bullshido from, it's like a parody of Bushido, which is like the samurai code. Bullshido. You get bullshido from, being asked to defend my beliefs is disrespectful, and just all the words and everything other than the actual demonstration of competence in the moment. And this is something that we've gotten away from in our culture, and something that I have found in our education system has become corrupted, which is the fact that talking about competence is now seen as cringe. So me talking about competence in this way in the American public school system in West Newbury, Massachusetts, which has like supposedly the best school system, like one of the best school systems in the country, me talking about competence, I mean, principal, very competent man. Principal Seymour, very competent man. A lot of respect for that guy. Great guy. Really great guy. Really great vision of what the school could be. Various teachers within the school, who I may name in other videos because I just don't really give a fuck, you know? I mean, if they want to... I'm not just gonna, like, I'm not out for vengeance, but, like, just such high degrees of malicious, resentful incompetency that it's like... if it comes up, you know, I'll just name drop, because it, like, there is a penalty for that. That is the penalty. The penalty for just being horrible at your job and taking it out maliciously on all of your students is that they might mention the fact that you did that later on. And, you know, if you're a great teacher, you don't have anything to worry about, but the people who have something to worry about are the people who... Well, they know. Everyone already knows, you know? It's not like I'm saying anything that people don't already know. Like, ask any former Pentucket student, they'll tell you the same thing. So, but anyway, though, there are a lot of good teachers, though, too. Like, definitely some good teachers there. You got a mixed bunch. But, I mean, I found the school system, in general, despite the very, very active, like, despite how above and beyond Principal Seymour went as a principal, I found the school system so frustrating that by my senior year, I simply left. I was already taking college classes since my sophomore year, but my senior year I just completely left and went and took dual enrollment at Salem State and the local community college to study chemistry, biochemistry, etc. So I already did well on my AP classes. I had like the highest PSAT scores in the school. It was, so I was not an academic low achiever who decided that he didn't like being judged by the man. I'm one of the most competent people that ever went through that school system. And it was trash, fundamentally, because the methods of evaluation were created by people whose success was third generation bureaucratic adherence and not vision, competency, anything that would actually a good teacher make. So, and there were a few good teachers, but they're all retiring. Like, they all retired. They're all retiring. Like, it was like very much like there was this like remnant of an old guard of competent teachers that I remember experiencing. But for the most part, it was just a bunch of women who should have spent more time with their kids or like had children or like they just were like, they had like this weird mothering impulse. I'll be really specific. So my fourth grade teacher, Mrs. Tierney, she was generally a very good teacher, but she confiscated the Odyssey from me. She's a science teacher. She confiscated the Odyssey from me because she determined that it was inappropriate. Like, you're a elementary school teacher, lady. This is not like a graphic, like, you don't get to determine if that's above your pay grade. That's nuts. So you're going to confiscate the Odyssey. You're not just going to say, oh, don't read that during class. You're going to, and she was a homeroom teacher. She was literally like, I'm going to confiscate this because I don't want you reading it. There's an inscription on the inside cover for my grandma. It was a Christmas gift. So, look, what does that tell you? It's weird. It's like, why is this woman acting like some twisted version of my mother, of like an Oedipal mother? Like, it's very strange. And that's not a stretch to say that. That is not a crazy claim I'm making that's like out in the ether of like, oh my God, like this woman's acting like an Oedipal mother. Like, your fourth grade teacher, this kid's reading the Odyssey, got it from his grandmother. It's reading it during a free reading period. You're going to confiscate that because it's inappropriate. Same school system that's now embracing the gender unicorn. Same school system that told my brother that white people, that you couldn't be racist against white people because there was nothing wrong with them. It's like, oh, they said that about a very Democrat-leaning school system, but you know, they say Democrats are closet racists, so often. But anyway, so why the problem with bureaucratic education is that competency does not occur in the classroom. Competency is the ability to impose order on a chaotic environment. So you have to have a chaotic environment and then you come and impose order on it. And you work competently within the order you've created. Like, that is a high degree of competency. That's someone who starts a school. But the person who starts a school and the person who runs the school are not the same people, generally speaking. Like Principal Seymour, great guy. He's a rare one. Like, he is a rare one for the amount of effort that he was putting in. Even him, I could see that he was very much hampered by the bureaucracy. Like, he would have been able to do a lot more if the bureaucracy had not been set up for people less competent than him. So the bureaucracy in that sense hampered him. And it's, so you see this effect of bureaucracy where even when you get competent bureaucrats, because that is what he is, he's a competent bureaucrat, they're hampered by the system. Not terribly, still effective in many ways, but what happens over time is that it doesn't even happen over time. This just happens wherever the edge is not. The edge must always be the edge of learning as well. The edge of performance is also the edge of learning. So, in a real sense, you cannot achieve the high... The problem is distance from the top and the bottom. I want to convey this in a nutshell. Like, fundamentally, I mean, there are a lot of success stories. I don't want to discredit the idea of bureaucratic education in general, because bureaucracies... Like, I love libraries. Like, libraries in some sense are a bureaucratic educational instrument. I love them. I think they're great. So, what is my problem with bureaucratic education? Because I also like universities. I think universities are great. I think that they accomplish a lot, but they accomplish... I think their utility extends far beyond the merely educational. I guess, okay, like, I'm going to end up giving a very balanced viewpoint, which is somewhat irritating. Essentially, the bureaucracy is like a mindless creature with a million arms and a million eyes. And it doesn't really know anything, but it's just constantly doing things. It's just this immense capacity. And because it's this immense capacity, it needs direction. And that direction is always going to come from the outside, because the bureaucracy is by its nature not something that is capable of producing consciousness, because consciousness is the ability to see outside the established pattern, and the bureaucracy is the established pattern. So the bureaucracy can't identify that which sees beyond it, because by definition it's seeing something the bureaucracy can't see. So in that sense, the bureaucracy is the most powerful thing outside of the lone individual, capable of seeing what the bureaucracy can't see. But even that lone individual, like Moses, was learned in all the ways of the Egyptians. So the bureaucracy, again, establishes a codex of information that enables that lone individual to see beyond, to stand on the shoulders of giants, as it were. But the bureaucracy itself selects people for their ability to understand the bureaucracy. So if the bureaucracy makes inherent sense to you, if that is the system in which you thrive, you are being pre-selected for inability to function outside that system, or at least lack of willingness to do so. Lack of desire to do so. Intense desire to do the opposite. This is what you're being selected for, which is not the traits of the person who sees outside the bureaucracy. So in some sense, it's just the prophets and the dogmatists, and they need each other in a deep way. I guess I'm very grateful that we are we're quicker in condemning the murder of our prophets. I think that's a good thing. We're generally, we're generally pretty quick. Like, there's it's interesting. Like Oppenheimer. It's a great movie. It's a really, really great movie. But, yeah, that is the way of things, fundamentally. So, The problem is if the bureaucracy starts to prevent people from updating the bureaucracy. But right now, into Sleep 2026, and I can't say the bureaucracy is really doing that at the moment. It's just not. The bureaucracy has just grown a little aggressively against different thinkers, but I don't know though. Also, no, it definitely is. It definitely is. I think that fundamentally, I don't know. I'm making more videos on that another day.